Well, this was an opponent that we lost to on the road. We had such a slow start to conference play this year. 3 of our first 4 games were on the road, and we lost all 3 of those. And they were against opponents that in the second round of conference, when we had them here at home, we really played well. And part of that is just improving throughout the season. But I think today we kind of had a hallmark again of who we've been here at the Mabee Center as far as aggressive defense and what we're able to hold them from the field. I thought we shared the ball well today. I thought the game plan, I've got to give a lot of credit to my coaching staff. They've done a fantastic job with scouting reports all throughout the season. And of course, it helps when you get to see somebody for the second time again. That's usually how we are here at ORU with our second round, especially in a year that you're changing conferences again. But had to really guard the three-point line late in the game and kind of knew that. I thought the play, normally when you've got a 6'7" center, the faster style of play doesn't really benefit you. But I thought here at home today, once we kind of got a rhythm going after the first 6 or 7 minutes of the game, gave a lot of credit to Jordan Doyle. She's really pushed the ball between the free throw lines really well for us this whole week in practice. And that's something that she's able to do for a long period of time. And our mistakes early in the game were because we pushed the ball between the free throw lines and never put the break on and needed to at times. And then in the second half, we did a better job of recognizing when it was all closing up and then getting into a good half-court possession. So that's something that comes with maturity and experience. It's something that didn't happen in November and December and maybe a little bit in January. So as that's happening for us offensively here late, getting ready for Sioux Falls next week, I'm excited to see that. I like to see the balanced scoring. We shot the ball well here at home today. Missed a few from the free throw line that we've been Phil, that's your fault because you've been really praising us in some of your game notes and you jinxed us. Now we're kind of doing the whole, below 70% thing again. But I like that we're getting to the free throw line. I like the kind of shots that we got today and that we got a variety and a lot of different players got them. But I really give credit to our defense today for the win. So.
Coach, you finished up a great month and a great end to your season, going 5-2 this month. This is obviously what you want going into tournament time.
Great point. And, you've got to, you have to tell yourself that a lot back in November and December, especially when your schedule is as difficult as ours normally is in our non-conference season. I think that's one of the things that, because we were a year older this year with that junior class from last year becoming a senior class this year, we had a very similar start to our season a year ago in the 13-14 season. And we never really understood that when conference play rolled around, the season would really start over and we begin to build that momentum again. And I think even though we had a really rough schedule with Tennessee and Baylor and K-State and Wisconsin in the non-conference season, our seniors knew what was coming this year. They didn't know the opponent since we were back in the Summit League, but they knew that January and February would be a level playing field, really. And so I think our maturity showed with that this year, that those juniors turning into seniors really have led us through that a lot better. And that's the most important thing. I was talking to the IPFW coach before the game because they're healthy right now also, just like we are. And then when you can get to the end of February and all your players are on the court, and you're healthy and you're playing some good basketball in February, that's really all you can hope for, to give yourself an opportunity. And I think there's going to be a lot of parity, just like there has been all conference season on both the men's and the women's side when we go to Sioux Falls next week. But this was the ending that we needed today. If I'm not mistaken, I think by tomorrow we'll kind of know that we're probably in the 3rd seed for the conference tournament. And that was something when we got picked preseason 7th out of 9, I really felt like we could be in that pod with the top 3 with South Dakota and South Dakota State. And if I could have those first 2 road games back, we might be getting to talk about a regular season banner this year in our first year back to the Summit League. But it'll come with time. It'll come with time, and your point's really well taken, and I think it is with our girls too, and they understand that this year. I think the seniors really know what's still coming, even though they've not played in Sioux Falls before. The freshmen don't ever realize how long a college season is until they've been through the first one. So that's we're keeping our freshmen going right now and keeping them pumped up and ready. And that's why Jordan was such a bright spot for us today as far as how she handled the pace of the game. And I thought her focused play was so special today.
Faith had 8 points. Everybody else in the starters were double figures. You mentioned a little bit about the balanced scoring. Was that just kind of a byproduct of speeding the game up a little bit?
I think when the game sped up, we tried to really keep our substitutions going to keep our legs fresh defensively. We rarely sub for offense. We sub all the time for defense. And one thing that was a little tricky today was when they decided to go with a smaller lineup and have basically a 5-out, everybody's shooting threes. You kind of want to let Vicky get to play still also. We did a few things where at one point we had Taja Manuel and Faith I am both in as the 4 and the 5. But what was good at that time during the game, even when we got Vicky back in guarding a 3-point shooter, was our shot selection was so much better. We remember in the first half we got stuck on 17 forever, and then we weren't defending well, we weren't taking good shots, and so back to your original question, Phil, I think we really sub for our defense first, and sometimes we have to let the offense kind of catch up with us a little bit, But Faith, she took some really good shots today, and she had one I remember in particular in the first half that she took it early in the possession, and she's so athletic she can take that shot 15 feet from the basket anytime during a possession. So it was just that's what was so different in the second half, was the patience in the half court when we didn't get the transition, and then I thought Faith's pace was very good at both ends of the floor then.
Coach, you talked about your subs and your rotations. Your last 2 or 3 games, you started to go to the bench a little bit earlier in the games. Do you feel like that's going to help you have a little bit fresher team come tournament time?
I think so. I'm really glad we got to rest Vicky a little bit more today than normal. So maybe it's a good thing that they ran a 5-out and everybody was shooting threes because Vic sat down a little bit. It will be very important when we have 3 in a row, very important when we have 3 in a row. One of the things that we try to do is we try to sub before somebody has to kind of tug their jersey. We have a little signal that, if I've got a player whose tongue is hanging out, and usually Faith's is because she works at such a high level, she's usually doing this, and so we try to get Ty for her, and Jordy will go for Jordan. We had a couple of times today that I had both our primary ball handlers and Jordan and Jordy both on the floor, and I was really worried that they were both going to tuck her out at the same time, but at that point we were a little more in control of the game. But yes, keeping the rotation going, and just we kind of hit a nice run to open the game up today, and we were about 4 or 5 minutes into the game, and we'd only subbed one person at that point. And I was kind of looking at Kyron, who kind of calls our subs for us and gets them going. I was like, keep it going, get somebody else in. And there were a couple of moments that I thought, did we go a little too early? But it gives those starters a chance to collect themselves, so when they're back in again, I think the decision making is better. But it will be very important for us in our 3 games up there, because we will. Defense wins championships. We may or may not shoot the ball well. Everybody may or may not shoot the ball well, at the new facility up there in Sioux Falls. But defensively, your defense can travel with you wherever you go. So that's where the subs will come from.
Coach, you talked about it a little bit earlier. You're probably going to be 3 seed with the loss Western Illinois and IPFW today. So you really want those top 2 seeds, but you're still not in a bad place to be in that 3rd spot.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, we'll see North Dakota State in the first round. I was a little worried that we might see Western again. And, the old adage, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. So I'm kind of glad. I'm glad we're in the 3rd place seed, just because I think it's a good representation of what our team earned this year. I think even though we would have been tied for 3rd, I like having that 3rd place next to us this season, because I know that our freshmen and our new kids coming in next year, they're going to want to do better than that. The day off is nice, but I don't know that we've been to 5 tournaments, either in the Mid-Con or in the Summit from here at ORU, and I don't think we ever got a day off on any of those that helped us. When they went to the day off format, have been the years that we either got beaten overtime in the finals or we got beaten in the semifinals. So we've done it before, where you have to play 3 in a row, and so it's, South Dakota's a great example. If I'm not mistaken, they played 3 in a row last year, in order to get an upset in their semis and then to play in the finals. So at the end of the day, you got to beat them all. But I think I'd probably rather see South Dakota State in the semis, like we probably will, than to see them in the finals, because they're the most experienced team in the finals at this point in the conference tournament. And so we've got to earn the first one, before we can worry about that. So. Oh, we talk about it daily. That's probably just an ongoing theme of ending where you want to end, playing your best basketball at the end of the season. And we will remind them the next time that we'll be on the floor for practice will be Tuesday morning. And one of the very first things that I'll say around the half-court circle, when we get back together is, okay, season 1 ended back in December when non-conference play stopped. Season 2 is now completely over. There's no more regular season games. Now everybody is 0-0 again, and it's time to start season 3. And now, yeah, you go and you draw back on who you've seen in the non-conference and what you've learned in the conference. And I think that's one of the reasons why conference play has finished really well for us, because we applied the non-conference season, and now in the tournament, we've got to apply what we've learned in the conference season with familiarity of our opponents and everything. But it's a fresh start for everyone. After today, all regular season games will be over around the league, and everybody will be focused on next Saturday and Sunday, and we'll be right there with them.
All right, last question for you, Coach. You have a lot to like going into this week of preparation for the tournament. What are some things you really like about your team right now? What are some things you guys think you need to focus on in practice this week to help yourself in the tournament?
I think one of my favorite things about our team right now is that we know who we are. I don't know that last season we ever enjoyed that identity moment of really knowing who we are. This team, they really know who they are and they know their roles. So it will be a week of, there won't be anything new. There won't be any, okay, now we're going to do something really neat for conference tournament. I mean, it's going to be meat and potatoes and what got us to this point, and we're going to continue to polish that and prep that and know your position and know your role and perform it at the best of your ability. So, yeah.